Hello, this is János. It's Rivered Audio. Happy Monday. Happy Audio Club Monday. So basically, I haven't made a video in 2 weeks, so uh, now I'm just getting back in shape to making videos again, and I'm using a new voice recorder and not using my lapel mic as usual. So let me know how the sound is, whether this is similar, better, or worse than usual. I welcome the feedback. And today, for this audio club session, I thought I'm going to be answering questions. And the past couple of days I haven't done any videos because I've been trying to catch up with questions. And as you see, this is my channel homepage. The last comment I haven't answered was from 7 days ago, so I kind of caught up with the comments before that. So if you posted a comment, then just let me know, because YouTube tells me that the last thing I haven't responded to was 7 days ago. So don't bite my head off if you posted something today and I haven't responded to it, because I don't see it. So YouTube is not an all-powerful device letting me know with 100% precision everything that happens. I also just heard of another YouTuber for whom I left a comment a month ago, and then she wrote back, oh my goodness, I haven't seen this. It didn't come up on my feed that you have posted that comment to me. So when that happens, just please do not take it personally. I found comments sometimes, to my surprise, which were left like 1 or 2 years ago, and I never seen that comment. So just for those who don't know, on my channel, this channel, I've already received I haven't counted how many, but 2 years ago I checked, and even at that time it was already 10,000 plus comments that I received. And when you get that many comments, it's really easy to miss a few, especially when the system doesn't really support showing up every single one of those. So here we are, and I'm going to answer a couple of the last comments that YouTube is showing me, and I'm going through them. And Adamos 9879, his comment was, "Hi János, I love your channel. Tonight I put a couple of large pillows each on the rear outside of large screen TV. I was surprised how much it cleaned up the sound a lot. I will put some absorbing acoustic pads on the front wall. I think I must be getting reflections." And yeah, that's something really effective, and happens a lot, that especially if you are in a room that's largely empty, and that happens in a lot of cases when people have like dedicated audio rooms or hi-fi rooms with like a home theater room, that you just have your home theater system and the couch, and that's it, and nothing else. And that's usually a really bad situation. That's when you have a ton of reflections coming from everywhere. And then when you put in things like pillows, those are really good to absorb a lot of unwanted reflections. And then when you add all of these pads to absorb things, then you are cutting down on those unwanted reflections and getting cleaner sound and easier to listen to, more easily perceptible 3D image, and so on. Lots of benefits. And however, I might say that you need to go this way only in a room where you don't have anything but your TV setup, or maybe you have a living room where you don't have much. Maybe you just have something like a coffee table, few chairs, and that's it. And if you have those spaces where there's nothing in the space, just you and your stereo gear, then these are the typical cases when you need to do a lot of room treatments. And however, there's another scenario, and it also depends a lot on your lifestyle, whether you love open, uncluttered spaces, then you will need those room treatments that the audiophiles are telling you about, all of those absorbent pads, etc., etc., etc. However, when you have a more of a normal or busy living room or living space where you have like bookshelves and or maybe racks of records, like wall-to-wall records in your living room, you have like potted plants, and you have just bunch of stuff. You have like a cabinet here, a cabinet there, maybe a desk with things inside, or some stuff that you just have, maybe like a small statue or multiple statues, rugs, you have like curtains, and just lots of stuff, plants all around. When you have those cases, then you don't need to go, maybe you don't even need to add any kind of acoustic treatment, which is like sold as a sound treatment device for your room, because all of these objects and items, they break up those unwanted reflections from the walls anyway. And I found that one of the best acoustic treatment that you can get for your room are record shelves. So like if you have like a wall-to-wall records behind you, that's probably one of the best room treatments you can have. So if you are a vinyl lover and you have tons of vinyl, then I really warmly recommend just to have the rear wall, just the entire wall, just cover it up with record shelves and just pack it full, and that will tremendously help. That's kind of like you are halfway done with your room treatment when that happens. And if not, then what Adamos has shared with us, it's really great, and especially that area which is between the speakers where the sound is coming from, it's really sensitive to what is in that area, and if there's any kind of reflections happening around it, whatever you put in there, it helps to break it up a lot. Otherwise, the opposite is also true. If you already have a nicely treated room and it sounds good, anything that you put in extra will break up the sound and just damage and hurt the image and the clarity. So it goes both ways. So if you have problems with your room, then treating that central area will eliminate a lot of problems. But if you don't have problem with the room, then overloading that central area will create additional problems. So thank you. And it's okay, so there we go. Jimmy he's an inventor, and he is sharing a lot of ideas what a lot of people would think that's just really crazy off the bat, but he has like really genuinely original ideas. Whenever he comments, I really recommend to read it, because he thinks totally outside of the box, and he has like just a treasure trove. He's a treasure trove of ideas, and even before reading, I just give him the hearts and the thumbs up. So I just reading it quickly. So he is giving us idea about what you can do to like a ghetto style room treat your room. Do room treatments like memory foam on the walls, from mattresses that you can just scavenge, and a painter drop canvas on them so that they don't look that much ghetto, and a double pane glass recording booth, and so actually you can just like be really creative and just use like really what you have around you. You don't need to buy like really expensive dedicated room treatment high-end products. You can create your own and just be creative about it, and it's not any worse than something that you spend high money on it. It's all about just you being creative and figuring out what works in your room. And as Jimmy mentions, at certain frequencies the vibration can get out of hand, and I think that's a good idea to just be on the lookout. Do you have that happening? Maybe you're not listening at that frequency where you have those vibrations, because maybe those resonating frequencies in your building might be too low, where you don't have your subwoofer extending to that range, or maybe you are not playing that loud that it becomes a problem. One thing that you can do is sometimes if the bass is getting out of problem, use Helmholtz resonators, which is like your favorite beer bottle, or wine, or whiskey. Just put it in the corner after you drank it. So it's important. It needs to be an empty bottle, or something that has just a little amount of liquid in it. Maybe you don't want to because your living room will smell of booze, but maybe that might be an added benefit in cases, unless it attracts the cockroaches. If you have cockroaches, then wash your bottles before placing them in the corner. And actually you can experiment by pouring fluid into them, because depending on the fluid level you can tune these Helmholtz resonators to specific frequencies to work best with your room. And these will work, in my experience, at least as good as these panels that you put, like the bass traps that you put in the corners. If your wife or girlfriend or mother or whoever you are living with doesn't like those bass traps, then you can just put an empty beer bottle in place. They might prefer that, and that might work even better than the bass trap. So experiment with that. If one bottle doesn't work, try 2 bottles, bigger bottle. There's the Jameson, the 2-liter size whiskey, Irish whiskey bottles. Those work really well. Experiment with it, and just good thumbs up for good Irish whiskey. And anyway, so I think my this channel is, by the way, not about drinks, but if someone is really looking at other sides of life, other things to cherish and enjoy, you can merge 2 hobbies and 2 beautiful things in life together, like the hobby of audio and drinking fine spirits or cheap beer, and get the best of both worlds. Eddie, let's see what Eddie shares with us. Surely if one has decided on the room for a permanent setup, would it not be the best to place drivers in the wall, making the room itself a speaker and avoiding the negatives of speaker placement? I think I read somewhere years ago this would be the ultimate endless baffle setup. Due to neighbors, I suspect you would need to place the drivers in a cavity wall with insulation. And P.S. the new backdrop is awesome. You're like a forest Yoda or hi-fi now. Yeah, so actually that's the cat's room, and that's been always there, but before it's been just covered up. But now I just cleaned up the room, so now we can see the wall. Thank you, Eddie. And So where were we? Infinite baffles. So yes, the problem with the neighbors, that's entirely true. A friend of mine put a pair of big Hartley drivers in his living room wall, and they were facing his garage port, and he used those as base. So basically, he turned his living room into a giant subwoofer cabinet, and with him living inside the subwoofer cabinet. And according to his account, that was the best bass he ever had in his room. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to listen to that because after he did that, within a month, he had to remove it because of the neighbors' very forceful complaints. Because outside, actually you could hear the bass much louder than inside the room, because it really worked like a subwoofer. Just scale up the subwoofer to living room size, and it was basically the back wave was going out onto the street, and his carport, which was a covered carport but open, it acted as a tunnel to amplify the sound. So it was way louder for the neighbors than for him listening, and he loved to listen at excessive volumes. So basically the neighbors were demolished when he was playing anything, so I had to take it off. But other than that, so if someone can manage it, maybe as Eddie suggested here, to have like a second wall up behind, and put some dampening inside, so that to cut it down, because if you put a second wall, then that entire cavity will vibrate tremendously, and especially if it's like low frequencies, then that can get your house moving and shaking. And if it's an apartment complex, that will make the entire apartment complex vibrate when you have really low frequency sound waves. Because when you have like 16 hertz sound waves, that's like 16, the 20 hertz sound waves is about 16 meters long. So it will be moving like 16 meter, 30 meter, 50 meter length easily. So like the entire apartment complex will be moving and shaking very, very, just like that. Will be energized by such a driver placement. However, thinking about placing the entire drivers, not just the woofers, but that range where we hear the spatial cues, that we use for location, there we are going to run into a snag. And the problem of that is that both the recording technology and the playback technology is optimized for the sound source being in the room, because these technologies work by trying to mimic that there are people, or there are musicians or sound source coming from your living room, and they are not mimicking that it's coming from the wall, which is a very different situation. So all of the recorded material assumes that the sound will start to originate somewhere from around that point where your speakers are, which is not at the wall depth. And when we place the speakers in the wall themselves, that really throws off the imaging, because all the sound comes from the wall, and it doesn't have the time to start from your speakers. But when it starts from your speakers, it also starts to go behind and then reflect back from the back wall. And it's the same, like you had a violinist at the same spot where your speakers are, then the sound coming from the violinist comes towards you, but it goes towards the back wall and reflects back from the back wall as well. And to have the proper imaging, you need both that direct information coming to you and the information reflecting from the back of your room as well. And some here you might notice that there's a lot of folks who are telling you that you want to minimize the room reflections behind the speakers from the rear wall, from the side wall, and then you will have cleaner image. Yes, you will have cleaner image, but you will also have more artificial sounding image. If you have just that directivity and nothing reflected from your room, it will sound like you are in a strange acoustic space that is not realistic, and it can be really hi-fi, really enticing, and usually you might even be enamored with that sound for years, but I can tell you from experience that with that type of sound you will eventually tire of it, and you really want a more natural sound that resembles more that how actual people or actual instruments would play in your room. It looks my phone is ringing. Who is calling me? Okay, I just shut it down. I have a car part that has arrived. They are calling me. Good stuff. Okay, so where were we? So I would not recommend placing the full range drivers into the wall, yeah, but otherwise, thank you, Eddie. That's really awesome considerations. And now this is really interesting. I am Puzzleman 282, and he asks, can you tell if you have a really good system if your room acoustics are poor? Yes, you still can, because if you put in a poor system in a room in a room that has poor acoustics, that will sound really garbage. And if you put a really good system in there, it will sound quite a lot better. However, if you have a room acoustics that are excellent, you place these two systems in that room as well, and the poor system will sound maybe even worse, because you will hear what the problems are with it even you can appreciate those problems even more, and you will hear more of the problems. And with the good system, you will hear more of the positive attributes as well. So then when you have very good room acoustics, then the difference between a poor system and a good system will be astronomical. And when you put them in a poor sounding room, then the differences might be really small. It can be just a tiny bit different. You will notice that, yeah, it sounds different, the good system sounds better, but not like $10,000 better or something like that. And that's why people often are really upset that, oh, I made this upgrade for this much money and it should be sounding so much better, and I can barely hear a difference. And most often the problem is not that you are getting ripped off or something like that, or someone misinformed you, but that in that poor acoustics you are not able to enjoy the benefits of the product that you obtained. And this is very easily perceived when you go to a dealer, a stereo dealer, to a showroom, and not just any showroom, because there are some terrible ones, but to someone who really knows about audio, and there you can try out two different things, and there it's like, wow, the change, oh my god, that sounds so much better. And when you bring those two things home and then you listen to them, and there it sounded so much better, what's happening here? I tried it at home and I can barely hear any difference. Yeah, there's something, but very, and it's not because the dealer ripped you off, but because the poorest acoustics, that they just compress and limit, that they force limitations on what how the sound can be extracted from the audio gear. So yes, even in a poor room, you can hear the differences, but the differences can be just a fraction of what they could be were the room acoustics really good. And I think now it's time to stop this video, because I think I've been recording for quite a long time. And so thank you for these fun questions. And oh, there's one more. Maybe this I'm just looking through these. And Medj Text Writer 1794, he also commented on room treatments, room acoustics, and I'm just skimming it fastly. And lots of reflective surfaces when you have an untreated room. And modern living, people just, that's modern style. You don't live for long in a place with rent, and then you move from one place to the next, there's nothing in the room. And when you have that kind of scenario, yes, then there are lots of room reflections, and sound is just, these reflections build up, and as you crank up the volume, it gets worse and worse, and then you hit suddenly a plateau, and then the room overloads and it becomes a mess. And often for people who are in these situations, who are renting, and their places almost look like a hotel room with like nothing inside, this is the most prevalent problem, that the room overloads. And then you can use that Helmholtz resonator trick with your empty beer bottles or Jameson bottles to help put them in the corner, put those in the corners. So for the Helmholtz resonators to work the best, corners are fantastic. And then you can experiment. And if you have like beer bottles all over your face, and someone is coming, oh, what are those? You can say, oh, those are my, I am not an alcoholic, those are Helmholtz resonators, and they're specifically there in the room. But actually it will work. And if you have those bottles on hand anyway, just put them to good use. And or you can use soda bottles too, but that's not that much fun, I guess. So yeah, so I think it's really now time to stop the video, so that it's Monday and everyone can stop having fun and go back to hard work. Thank you for listening. Have an awesome, wonderful day. Bye bye.